Welcome to Bedtime Sleep Stories with Lana. I'm Lana and I'm so happy to have you here tonight. Rain taps gently against the window, a chilly sound that wraps around this early March night. Tonight we'll explore XiaoChu from the Ching, a story of patience and quiet growth. Picture yourself cozy and warm under a thick blanket, the glow of a fireplace nearby, the cold day fading away. Take a deep breath, let it go, and settle in as the rain carries us into this peaceful time. Picture yourself lying in a soft bed, a thick blanket, Quan Kong Ban, the gentle glow of a fireplace casting flickering shadows across the room. Outside, rain taps against the window near your bedside, a steady rhythm that soothes the soul on this chilly March night in 2025. In a small village, nestled at the edge of a wide open valley, where the rolling hills stretch out like a patchwork quilt under a vast, restless sky, lives a woman named Clara. She's not young anymore, her hands lined with the stories of years spent tending to life, her garden, her home, the quiet dreams she keeps folded away in her heart like pressed flowers. Clara has always loved the moments just before a storm, when the sky grows heavy with clouds, when the world seems to pause, holding its breath in anticipation. Tonight, as the rain begins to tap against her window, she lies in her bed, her blanket pulled close around her, and lets her mind drift to her modest field with a tender, knowing gaze. Clara's field isn't grand. It's a humble stretch of soil and hope, dotted with tiny seeds she planted weeks ago under a sky that offered no guarantees. She remembers that day clearly, the warmth of the late spring sun on her back, the cool, grumbly dirt between her fingers as she pressed each seed into the earth, smoothing the soil over them with a care that felt almost sacred. She whispered to them as if they could hear her voice through the layers of earth. "Grow strong, little ones. Take your time." Back then, the sky was a brilliant blue, the air dry and still, but she knew, as the ancient wisdom of the I Ching had taught her, that growth doesn't rush. XiaoChu, the hexagram of small accumulation, spoke to her in its quiet, steady way. Gather strength in the small things. Let the clouds build before the rain falls. And so she waited, her heart steady with a faith she couldn't quite explain, a trust that had grown roots over the years like the old oak tree standing sentinel at the edge of her land. Clara sinks deeper into her bed, the blankets soft against her skin, the rain humming against the window pane near her bedside, a cold whisper from the early spring night outside. She sees the village in her mind, simple houses with weathered roofs, their chimneys puffing faint trails of smoke that curl upward and dissolve into the grayness above. Days turned into weeks after she planted those seeds. Each morning, she'd peek out her window from beneath her blanket, watching the sky through the frosted glass near her bedside, the fireplace's warmth chasing away the morning chill that lingered in her bones. Clouds gathered, soft and white at first, like wisps of cotton drifting lazily across the blue, then thicker, darker, pressing down with a weight she could feel even as she lay resting. The villagers' voices drifted through the window as they passed her house, tinged with impatience. "No rain yet," they'd mutter, kicking at the dry ground with worn boots. "Why plant if the sky won't give?" "You're dreaming, Clara." But she only smiled to herself, pulling her blanket tighter, knowing what they didn't, that every seed, every small act of faith was a promise kept to the future, a quiet offering to something greater than the eye could see. The village carried on with its usual rhythm, children laughing by the well as they splashed water on each other, their voices ringing through the air like bells, carts creaking along the dirt paths, their wheels leaving faint ruts in the dust, the clatter of pots and the murmur of voices drifting from open kitchen windows, mingling with the scent of baking bread and stew simmering on hearths. Clara thought of her own small acts, raising children now grown, mending clothes by the fire's glow that danced across her walls, waiting through quiet, cold nights like this one beneath the warmth of her blanket, all threads in a tapestry of patience, guided by XiaoChu. Success comes through restraint. The rain grows steadier, a comforting patter filling the room as Clara adjusts her blanket, the fire's warmth wrapping around her like a gentle embrace against the cold seeping through the walls. She recalls those days of waiting, picturing her field from her bed, the soil she'd tended weeks ago, imagining roots reaching deep, sprouts curling upward beneath the earth, their silent growth mirroring her own quiet resolve. She'd hear a neighbor's gruff voice through the window near her bed. "Still no rain, Clara. You're wasting your time with this foolishness." But she'd whisper to herself from beneath her blanket, "The rain will come," her voice soft but firm, carrying the weight of years, calm as the still air before a storm. XiaoChu taught her patience's power, a lesson from her mother who'd hummed old songs while planting, saying, "The earth has its own time, Clara. Let it be." She carried that through years of small moments, tending kids who filled her home with laughter, their tiny hands tugging at her skirt, stitching tears and clothes, by the fire's light that flickered across her room, watching the sky from her bed on nights like this, when the cold pressed against the glass. Each day the clouds grew heavier, the air thick with rain scent, a fragrance she could almost taste as she lay resting, the chill of early March seeping into her bones, yet softened by the blanket's embrace. She didn't force the earth to hurry, trusting the rhythm of XiaoChu, the power of patience, the beauty of what builds slowly, step by careful step. She thought of her own life as she lay there, her mind drifting to the years she'd spent raising her children, their laughter once filling this very house like sunlight, now grown and scattered to their own corners of the world. She remembered the quiet nights she'd spent alone by the fire, mending clothes with careful stitches, a torn sleeve here, a frayed hem there, or reading by the flickering light of a single candle, the words on the page her only company. All small moments, yet they'd woven together into the fabric of who she was. Steady, strong, rooted like the seeds she tended with such care. The rain beats stronger now, a song against the window pane as Clara pulls her blanket closer, the fire crackling softly in the hearth, its warmth a shield against the growing chill of the night. She remembers that night when the wind shook her house, lying awake in bed, hearing the first drop, cold and sharp, then another, tapping against the glass near her bedside with a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat. She closed her eyes beneath her blanket and listened as the rain fell in earnest, a steady, gentle song against the earth, a melody she'd waited for so long to hear. Its notes washed over her like a balm, soothing every weary part of her soul, lifting a weight she hadn't known she carried. She imagined the rain soaking into her field, nourishing the seeds she'd planted with such hope, and by morning she'd peeked from her bed to see her field transformed, tiny green shoots pushing upward, fragile but alive, glistening with raindrops like tiny jewels catching the first light. She pictured herself rising briefly, the blanket slipping slightly as she leaned toward the window, hearing the villagers' voices, rising in wonder over the steady patter through the glass as they gathered outside, their boots squelching in the mud. "How did you know?" they asked, their words muffled by the rain's song. She smiled beneath her blanket, sinking back into its warmth, thinking of XiaoChu. Small things gather. In time, they become great. She heard her mother's voice in the rain, a whisper from years past. "Wait, Clara. The earth knows when." She felt her mother's presence then, a warmth beside her in the flickering light, as if the storm had brought her back for a moment on this cold March night in 2025. The chill outside held at bay by the blanket and the hearth. The fire glowed low as she lay there, the rain her reward after weeks of patient trust, a quiet triumph that filled her heart with peace. The rain softens, a gentle drizzle now, lulling Clara deeper into her bed as the fire's glow fades into embers, its warmth lingering like a fading memory. Months later, she lies beneath her blanket, imagining her field through the window near her bedside, a lush sea of green swaying in the breeze, dotted with the first hints of flowers that would soon bloom, bursts of yellow and white against the emerald expanse, like stars fallen to earth to rest among the leaves. She pictures the tiny shoots she'd nurtured in her mind, now grown tall and strong, their roots deep in the soil she'd tended with such care. The village changed too, neighbors slowing, watching the sky as she had, their hands easing as they worked their own fields, their voices softening as they spoke of the weather, of time, of patience, learning from her quiet faith as the seasons turned from spring to summer and beyond. Clara rests, the blanket soft against her skin, the rain a familiar friend, blending with the fire's faint crackle and the distant call of a night bird settling into its nest outside her window. XiaoChu taught her growth isn't loud or fast. It's the seed resting in the dark, the cloud gathering before the storm, the small, steady steps that lead you home to peace, to rest, to the quiet joy of a life well tended. A life that blooms in its own time, full and rich and true, a legacy of patience written in every blade of grass. As she lies there, the chill of the March night presses gently against the window, but the blanket holds her close, a cocoon of warmth that mirrors the steady faith she'd carried all those weeks. She thinks of the field's transformation, how the rain had come just as she'd trusted, how the earth had answered her quiet hope with life, and a soft smile curves her lips. She remembers her mother's hands, rough yet gentle, guiding her own over the soil years ago, teaching her not just to plant, but to wait, to listen to the earth's rhythm as she now listens to the rains. Those lessons had rooted deep within her, like the oak tree she'd watched grow from a sapling outside her childhood home, its branches now wide and strong, a silent witness to her life seasons. Clara breathes slowly, the rain's gentle cadence matching her heartbeat, and feels the weight of the day slip away entirely, leaving only peace. The fire's last embers glow faintly, a soft orange against the dimness, and she imagines the village sleeping under the same rain, the same sky, their dreams perhaps, touched by the patience she'd shown. XiaoChu had been her guide, a whisper from the past that carried her through the waiting, through the doubt, to this moment of quiet fulfillment beneath her blanket. She lets her thoughts drift, the rain a lullaby that carries her closer to sleep, the fire's fading warmth a reminder of the steady glow of her faith. The field rests now, cradled by the rain's gentle embrace. Thank you for listening. Now let yourself relax, close your eyes, and let beautiful dreams guide you into a peaceful night. I'm Lana, and I'll see you again in the next story.